I want to get back to this idea of freedom because I think I may disagree with some of my colleagues here a little bit. And I may sort of a little bit like 5% defend AOC, but only to make a point about why AOC is wrong about everything. AOC tweets out yesterday, quote, "Sex work is work. The federal government has done almost nothing to help people in months. We must pass stimulus checks, unemployment insurance, small business relief, hospital funding, etc. Keep the focus of shame there, not on marginalizing people surviving a pandemic without help." This is in response to a political controversy that's been stirring up in recent days over Pornhub. Pornhub's getting knocked pretty hard right now, which is great. Over OnlyFans, which is this democratized pornography where basically this website lures in any kind of young girl to become a pornographer herself and then make, the promise is you're going to make a lot of money, and the 97% of these people, or even higher, don't really make much money at all, but they end up degrading themselves and have these photos on the internet forever, and it's really not good for their lives. Now, I'm skeptical of AOC's premise here that, the only way to survive the pandemic is to get involved in prostitution and pornography. I don't think that's true. I think there are other ways to make money. Maybe you can make more money per hour or something doing that. But the costs of that to your reputation, to your personal life, to your psychology, it's not great. I'm also sort of skeptical that we shouldn't feel shame for these kind of lurid sexual behaviors, but instead we should feel shame because politicians, haven't done their job. I think that all people involved in sex work and politics should probably feel some shame. Those are the two oldest professions, right? Prostitution's the oldest one, and then politics is just right after that. And as Reagan pointed out, they bear a lot of similarities to one another. However, the place I will agree with AOC and disagree with some of my conservative colleagues is when she says sex work is work. Obviously, that's true. Of course it's work. It takes time. You get paid for it. It does require skill. I won't think too much about the skills, because that's not, this is a family program. But it does require, I suppose, some kind of skill, even a little business savvy to attract a customer, or so it is work. It's just bad work. It's not good work. It's not good for anybody. It's bad for the guys buying the services. It's bad for the women providing the services. It's bad for society. It's bad. There was a while ago, who was it? Obama said, I think it was Obama. Some Democratic politician said, if you don't work and study hard, you're going to end up being a barista. Being a barista is honest work. That's an honest, you're going out, you're providing a service. I love my barista, Sex work and a certain type of politics is not honest work. But it is work. It's just you don't want that. There was a troll who tweeted out, obviously this was just to troll conservatives into a frenzy. He said, my daughter is thriving on Pornhub and OnlyFans. I'm the proud father of a sex worker. And, obviously that isn't true. Nobody feels that way because there is something intrinsically shameful about looking at porn and about performing in porn. And people at both sides have psychological effects from that. There's one of the reasons that Pornhub has become such a big issue is because you've got generations of young boys who are getting hooked on this thing which is categorically different and categorically more dangerous than a Playboy under your uncle's bed in the 70s, or something like that. This is very different. It has very damaging effects to people. This has been studied scientifically, and obviously that's true ethically as well. And it would seem to me that the way to attack this problem is not to stigmatize or whatever, marginalize people who are in it, and it's not to permit it entirely and just say, well, you've got to raise your kids better, but the government has no role, politics has no role. No, it's obviously bad. It's really bad. It's really shameful of AOC to encourage young girls to get involved in prostitution, which is what she's doing. That's a shameful thing, and that could ruin lives. We should not do that. We should discourage girls from getting involved in pornography and prostitution. We should discourage men from looking at and engaging in those sorts of things. We can have prudence and recognize there's always going to be some kind of shady pictures on the internet. There's always going to be, a strip club or a brothel in the red light district. And there's always going to be the temptation of women to get involved in that. There's always going to be the temptation of men to get involved in that too. But we should try to minimize it. Even getting back to St. Augustine, who I mentioned earlier with regard to Christmas, St. Augustine defended legal prostitution in the sense that it's prudent. It's impossible to eradicate entirely. There can be some externalities if you do eradicate it entirely, but you don't want to encourage it. I understand that that's not satisfying to either the liberal left who says, oh yeah, everybody should be a porn star, and to the extremely ideological, rigid right that says we've got to eradicate lust from the heart of man. I don't think either of those are particularly practical. I think what we should just do is, through prudence, discourage all of this activity. And that involves some shame for everybody involved. That can be a good thing. Shame is good. That's your conscience having a red blaring light saying, woo, 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 danger, danger, don't do this. And we should encourage that faculty. That is a faculty of our reason. That is a sense that we should cultivate. So right now, Pornhub is getting hit with this $40 million lawsuit. Victims of a sex trafficking operation are suing MindGeek, which is the parent company of Pornhub, because there was a sex trafficking operation called Girls Do Porn, very creatively titled. And basically this was a fraudulent porn company, and they lured the girls in and said that actually these videos are only going to be released on DVD in foreign countries. Don't worry, none of your friends, none of your family is going to find it. What do? They immediately upload it to the internet, and apparently to Pornhub in particular, because I guess the biggest website, right? So they upload all of that. These girls have their lives ruined. Some of them threaten suicide, some of them attempt suicides. Their lives are completely shattered, which should be a warning sign to anybody who wants to get on OnlyFans.com because they think they can make a quick buck. There are obviously effects that you're not taking into account here. And these websites are preying on girls who are not taking these things into account. So each victim here is asking for at least $1 million, plus they're asking for the profits of their videos and legal fees as well. That's good. That's a good thing. I don't know if the right or the left feel perfect about the way that people are they're attacking Pornhub because they've got misogynistic content, according to Nick Kristof at the New York Times, and racist content. And because they've got underage girls, yeah, definitely go after them for that. And because they've got fraud videos, and they've got, okay, fine. That's sort of death by 1,000 cuts. And you're not going to eradicate Pornhub entirely, but you are going to cut it down to size. Just the other day, they deleted something like half of the videos on their platform. How many millions of videos do they have on their platform? They deleted half of them. That's good. That's good. That's a win. That's a good standard to have. And, when people say you can't legislate morality, well, that's obviously ridiculous. All laws, by definition, legislate morality. But I think what people are really saying is you can't have establish this perfect moral society without any sin. Yeah, duh, of course not. Of course people are going to violate these sorts of things. But you can at least have the standard, and that goes a long way. What we've done, what political correctness has done for the past 50 years, 100 years, is to invert the standards that we have in this country.